Here is everything I did to pass my driver's test as someone who was afraid to take it for 5 years. It was way easier than I thought it was going to be, and I'm kind of pissed off at myself, but it's whatever. My number one tip is to call whatever DMV you're taking your driver's test at and ask them if you can see what route they're taking and how they do parking. For me, they said yes, which was really helpful because it took the anxiety away of not really knowing what's on the test, and I was able to go and see the route before I actually took the test. I will say it's not the same route every single time they do the test, but it's really helpful to see what areas they're stopping at and why. For my test, there were 2 parts. It's split up between parking and driving. And for the parking part, there are cones, so the biggest thing is just to make sure that you don't hit the cones. That is the biggest way to get the most points taken off. They can take off points for being too close to one line or the other, but for the most part, you'll be okay as long as you don't hit the cones. Also, if you have a backup camera in your car, please do not look at it. That is a surefire way to get points taken off. And also be very intentional to turn your entire head before you reverse. Once you're done with the parking section, you're going to move on to the driving section. My biggest thing with the driving section is to be very intentional about turning your head when you're making turns. Some of you may have heard of the ponytail method, where you wear a ponytail so that when you're turning, it's very dramatic and intentional when you're turning your head, so recommend that. Also, another thing is that when they're assessing your mistakes and taking points off, they do it per mistake. So if you have 3 left turns during the test and each time you don't turn your head, it's not taking off 1 point for not turning your head, it's every single turn. If you didn't turn your head, you're getting points taken off for each time. So just make sure that you know all of the rules, and everything you do, just be very intentional and dramatic about them. All of your stops, all of your head turns, everything. And if you want to make sure that you know everything that you have to do on the test, there's a study guide that goes through everything that you need to do on the road for your test. And that's also going to remove your anxiety about not knowing what to do, because it goes through everything that you're going to need to do on the road. You can find the study guide in the DMV handbook, and a really easy way for you to access this is if you use this app. It's called the Get My Permit app, and it has the DMV handbook laid out for you, and it also has practice tests. If you're looking to brush up on a certain area, you can just find that practice test and just repeat doing that. Those are all my tips, but I just want to remind you guys that you know what you're doing. You got this. The biggest thing on this test is confidence. They will see if you're confident or not, and that is a big part of passing. And I also want to say that if you don't pass, it's not the end of the world. For my state, you can retake the test in 15 days and you'll do better and you'll pass eventually. So wishing you guys the best of luck.